Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success and what they have learnt along the way. Hello and welcome to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today I am super excited to bring back my sister from another mister, Mrs. Dawn Bates, all the way from Brazil, who is the author, as you know, of Becoming Annie and also a international bestseller of many books that we're going to talk about tonight, and also the author of both House of Preeminence and One Tribe magazine. This woman does it all. Welcome to the program, Dawn.
Thank you so much. And I was like, oh yeah, and MSP News Global, I write for them now as well.
You're everywhere. You're absolutely everywhere, for sure.
Yeah, you know.
Of course you are. I'm sure I've missed a few accolades there, but that's okay because we can talk about them now. And your most recent is Standing in Strength. Is that still your most recent, or have you?
No.
You've already done another Standing in Strength.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we the same day that we launched Standing in Strength with Lani and the girls, I pre-launched not Moana, Pandora.
Yes.
And I'm already a quarter of a way into the next book, The Mermaid's Guide to Being a Digital Nomad, which I have to get finished in the next few days because then I start Alpha in the fourth book in the Sateful series, and I'm finishing Claire's book, The Stroke Warrior. So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What's going on?
So much going on. So for those of you who are listening in, Dawn is an amazing author coach. So she has a tribe of men and women who have got that burning passion to write a book and go where to, how to, what the, and then they that's right. And then she goes and mentors and coaches them on how to actually get that book published. And it is the most amazing moment for people who have just always, some of these people like Lani Mulvey, who've wanted to do it for 20 years, have the opportunity to then birth, seriously, it's a birth, a beautiful.
It is a birth.
And very
emotional. Don't get easier either.
Yes, exactly. Yes, there's pain and suffering trying to get there, but there's also incredible joy once it comes out and the beaming faces. I just love that. So Dawn helps do that, as well as writing her own series on different books, which you can talk about in a minute. So let's just unpack Lani first. So Lani has been the collab that we've been promoting lately called Standing in Strength. And how did you help Lani? I've had Lani on my program and she's talked about her journey and it was just amazing. And so what was it like as an author coach, just putting all that together and making all of that happen for someone else in that way, as you've done others this year already?
Yeah, I think I'm on about the 7th book that I'm doing for somebody else now.
Yeah.
Each one is obviously very different because we're all at very different stages of life. The stories are very different, different levels of business experience as well. With Lani, though, we met roughly around about the same time that we met back in April last year. The thing that got me was that Lani was a powerlifter. And my Uncle Jeff is Jeff Capes. So for people who don't know who Jeff Capes is, he is a gold medalist. He's the world's strongest man many, many times over. And Highland Games. Yeah, he's picked me up and sit me on his shoulder. And I was like, oh my God, I've got like Uncle Jeff. I mean, I call him Uncle Jeff, but he's my godfather.
Yeah.
So Lani and I started talking about that, and then we got talking, and then I mentored her. And then throughout that process, I was like, Lani, you do realize that this is what your book is, don't you? Like I did with Jocelyn. and everybody else. So I'm just taking my shoes off. Yeah, it was just one of the beautiful things about Lani is, even when I told her that you weren't like, because we were watching, because one of the things a lot of people don't understand is that you've really got to be refreshing and watching for you to be able to click the fact that you got #1 bestseller.
Yes.
Because it changes so quickly. We got a screenshot of it being at #3 on like international, and we got that. And then we were trying to get it on the #1. We refreshed it and we saw it, but we couldn't like screenshot it. And it was like, oh, no. And then it was gone. But we did get her #1 in women in sport, which is the category that was most important for her.
That's what she wanted. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And like looking at everything that she wants to achieve, and she was like, "Oh, am I a coach?" I was like, "Not really. I mean, you are, but you're not. You're more than that." And she was, and she was like, "I'm more than that, but you're a coach, John." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm a strategist, consultant." Yeah. I'm just going to kick your backside, and like, I'm not really a tactful coach. If you want a tactful coach who's going to tell you everything it's hunky-dory and love light and pickled unicorns or whatever they are these days, then I'm not the coach for you. It was such a beautiful thing, and we'd share food pictures. I mean, like you and I, we share family pictures, we share ocean pictures. Like me and Lani were sharing food pictures, but when I told her the good news, she was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool." Whereas you and I, we would go, only dogs can hear us. We're so loud and high pitched. But with Lani, she's like,
reserved. Yeah. She's like, "That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, that's all right. I'll take that.
Yeah,
women in sport, you say? Yeah, I really wanted that category." I'm just like,
can we just raise it up a few octaves and go, "Oh my gosh, girl, you've just got the dream." You got to know when you receive the dream, right? You've just got to go.
Yeah.
Bask
but
she's
just a really cool, really chilled. Just what's next? So now she's starting up the Women's Strength Initiative. Yeah. And we're looking at how she builds that, and she's taking a bit of a break from me at the moment, which is probably a good thing. Bit of a come down moment, and then it's back on it. But we're looking at how we can help her build it. We've got a couple of projects that we're working on with a friend of mine, Robert Keston, who wrote the foreword for my second book, Wallahi. He's a human rights activist in the States. He's done lots of things around the world. So we're bringing Lani on board with that project. So hopefully that'll be something there, and pimping her out left, right, and centre, all these public speaking gigs as I do. Lani, get on it, sort this out. Would you be up for this? Come on, sort it out. So yeah, we're in that process at the moment. So it's all good fun.
Oh, I think it's so much good fun, and just such a wonderful joy to be able to make people's dreams come true, right? And then for that dream to come true, and then actually realize that there's more. And that's what we talk about.
Yeah, there's always more.
Like, wow. And now I'm sitting at this next level. Wow. There's a whole new view, a whole new range of opportunities, which you don't have to do all of them. You can then become increasingly selective, right? And I know you've done a lot in your career, that you only attract certain people because, it's really important who you write about, what content you write. And
I'm very fussy who I write about.
Yeah.
Very fussy. I mean, can't just have anybody that I write about, really.
No. So I'm very lucky, listeners, that I've got through the hoop there. I know.
Yeah, I do get a lot of inquiries. Would you publish my book? Will you write my book? I'm like, no. But I seriously, no, I won't. Because if their story is not, I mean, there's one book that I was so tempted. I was like, but if they wrote it like this, no, it was not in alignment. And if it's not in alignment, and if it doesn't get me excited, and if it's not something I see serving humanity on a much higher level, and if the person if I can't imagine myself sitting around at their house in my pajamas having a giggle, or sat at the family lunch table having a giggle, or if I can't imagine going sailing with them, if it gets to day one and I'm thinking of pushing them off the boat, it really is not a good mix.
Definitely not.
Not
for them or you.
Well, I mean, they got to catch me. I'm out on the high seas, Annie. So, sorry they fell over. Did they get on my boat? I don't know about that. Sorry,
although I did find out, I did find out your local waterway is full of sharks today. After I told you,
I nearly went in
swimming. Yeah, I said go for a swim.
Yeah, I was going to, but when you get that feeling again, like when you work with people, you get that feeling: is this a good thing or not? And we both know that there are a few people that we were like, oh no. I was like, why am I not wanting to go for a swim in the ocean? And then when I saw all the oil on the beach as a very delicate lace pattern, I was like, yeah, that's not happening. That really upset me, that did. But then I was with, there was somebody I met several months ago when I first arrived in Brazil. I saw that she was up here at this part of where I am in Brazil. And I was like, oh, she goes, oh, I live here, Dawn. She goes, I was just on holiday. I was like, really? Guess where I am? So we've just been out for the day. And I know we're a bit late because I was in the spa, wasn't I? I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the spa. It was a lush day. On the beach, because we went to a different beach where it is locked down, but because it was a private beach, we were allowed to do what we liked. She was telling me, she goes, oh yeah, there's all the sharks in there now because they built a new port, some luxury apartments. But what they've also done, she didn't know this, obviously, I little miss environmental and vigilante that I am. I was like, oh, it's the pipelines. It's the gas pipelines that they've put out to the rigs up there that's displaced all these sharks. And that's actually put them out. This used to be a real hot spot for people to swim and all the reefs are out here as well.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, Brazil's got the second largest barrier reef after Australia.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know that.
No, they'll all be coming over to us. Anyway, let's talk sacral series then, Dawn. So you've got 9 books planned. Is that right?
Yes.
9 books?
Yes, 9. 9. Trinity of Trilogies, as the master of the mic calls.
Oh, that is just so fancy. Okay, tell the listeners, what's the sacral series all about and what have you got currently available?
Okay, so the sacral series is 9 true stories of different kinds of abuse. So the first 3 are stories that have been shared with me, or they're all stories that I've come across in one way or another, that talk about the one-on-one abuse. So, for example, the first one was about a narcissistic relationship where the individual was raped. And then the second one, Layla. So that was Moana. Layla was the story of a young girl. She's a really quite well-known artist at the moment. Her mother was raped by somebody who was quite prominent in the community, and her family said, you have to have an abortion. And she was like, no. So her mum was then removed from the family. But her mum could not face having an abortion and getting rid of Layla. So what it actually does is it actually then picks up the story of what Layla's life was like moving forward. And then then Pandora talks about the abuse that happened in her family. And then the next 3 books are about abuses that happen within society. So this next one, Alpha, is about the community abusing an individual. And then it'll be about a religious group abusing individuals, and then the social care system and what's broken in that. And then the final 3 will be looking at abuses within the system, like the prison, the police, and the law courts. So each one, they're all real stories. I've had to give each individual a different identity. So I'm drawing on 22 years worth of work in the cultural diversity and community cohesion and ethnic diversity work that I've been doing, and highlighting different aspects of the world that need to be addressed. So I gave Layla the identity of a Torres Strait Islander because I wanted to highlight Aboriginal art. Excuse me, because Layla healed herself through art therapy. So each of these individuals healed themselves through an alternative healing modality. They did not use big pharma or the pharmaceutical industry. They didn't use antidepressants. They didn't use anything like that. So they chose a different way. So it was about highlighting different things. When we get to social, he actually used his desire to heal his pain by studying so that he could actually understand the situation so he could help improve other people's lives. So it's looking at different things like that, but it's also going towards my PhD in international law and social justice, which I'm about to start my second module.
Yay!
So yeah, we're on book 4 of the 9, and each book comes with its own podcast as well. So
amazing.
and there will be a summit series for each of the trilogies within the trilogies.
Oh, what a busy woman, but busy in all the right ways, right? This is, you know, this is so intentional what you've mapped out with these series. It doesn't just suddenly happen. So those people who go, oh yeah, okay, well, how do you get an idea and then just write it? No, we're talking about deep core reasons and beliefs and things that have happened in your life that have driven the whole creation of this triple trilogy, whatever the fancy word that you just said.
Trinity of trilogies.
Trinity of trilogies. Exactly right. And how deep and complex they all are in their own right. So it's amazing and how it all fits together. And I just think it's really wonderful to appreciate that with so many people who say they're authors, you know, that you might have scribbled something or other, but you know, when you actually look at what professional international best-selling authors, you know, how they approach their work and what you do and what it takes, it's just amazing. And I've been amazed when you're writing one while another one is being, you know, sort of on pre-order, but you haven't actually finished that one, and all this stuff happening, and then you're also coaching other people. It's really amazing, right? It's just like, wow. So well done you. And then how does
it does take a lot. It does. It is like you say, it's a strategy. And this is why I mean, I use author coach because that's what people can really relate to. But it is actually about being the strategist behind all of this. Like you say, it's taking what you know and actually creating. I mean, you can't have a successful business without a successful strategy.
Exactly.
And one that you implement. So don't expect to be an author if you're just going to, you know, finger in the air, put it up on Amazon and hope for the best. No, there's a strategy that goes behind that. You need to be doing that. And one of the reasons why when I publish a book, I'm very choosy about the people that I work with and whose books I publish is because then we're all in alignment. And then a lot of people will be buying, when they buy my books, they'll probably be buying my clients. They're more likely, not probably, be buying the books of my clients because they're similar books. And then what that does is then that serves us all. And then we all grow, we all rise together. And, you know, bringing us all in on all these different projects. It's like, you don't just work with me. You don't just publish a book. You work with me. You become part of my family. You become part of this tribe. This is not Penguin where you just go and write a book. No offense to Penguin, I love penguins, but you know,
no, but it's a personal relationship forms that seriously is life. It becomes a lifelong thing. You know, you become, because you reveal so much and you grow so much through the experience on both ways, right?
Yeah, you do massively.
In fact, it'd feel really weird, I imagine, for you if you do all of that and you bear the souls and then suddenly goes, oh, thanks for that job, and then they move on. You know,
a couple of them have done.
Yeah.
that does hurt. It does, because you kind of get to this point of life where you think you've got people sussed. You know, and you get that people have got stuff going on in their lives. I mean, and you know, you also know, like, I mean, with Carmel and I, it was a very intense 7 weeks that we did hers. Then I went off sailing for 3 months. Then we came back together again, but we needed that break. And once you've gone really deep, you do need that time away. But there have been a few people that, I mean, I've been coaching people for 20 years. There are people over the years that I've worked with where I've gone really, really deep. I mean, the first book that I helped somebody write was over 10 years ago, before I actually had Dawn Publishing, and I worked with her on that book. I got a dedication in that book and everything. But the moment she got it done, didn't hear hide nor hair of her. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's an interesting experience. Let's backtrack a bit to the depth of the Sacral series. How do you cope emotionally? What do you do as strategies personally to be able to sort of just process or unpack or not get deeply affected? Because you're wanting, I imagine, as the author, to actually just put all of the deep, raw emotion into that book. But then you have to be feeling that. And so how do you manage the balance there?
Well, like I say, I know all of the 9 people in the Sacral series. I've met them personally. Pan was probably the easiest but the hardest in a lot of ways, Pandora. So I've known her 20 years. And so that was just a really easy story to write. But again, it was really difficult because it was remembering that. And you'll notice I've got my new manicure. Every book I write, I make sure I have a new manicure. That's one thing, new energy. Like, my hands have been cleansed, like, let's just do this. And then it's, they've been taken care of, they've been massaged, like, boom, let's go. That's just something that I do. I dance a lot. Every day after I've done some writing, I dance a lot. I shake off the energy. I do a lot of journaling. And I also do a lot of water meditations. One of the reasons why I always book a hotel right on the beach is because I need to be near the ocean. I need to feel that energetic force, that power, that cleansing. And when I'm out there, if I'm not, we're not allowed on the beach. So we've just been down the coast to a private resort where we know that because it's a private beach, we can go on the beach and I can just go and do a grounding and a water meditation where I'm just lying in the ocean and I'm just being held by the ocean, floating along. Now, for some people, seeing that has caused problems because they're like, is she alive? What's going on?
Like, poke her.
Yeah, there's a woman floating on the ocean, what's going on? And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm fine now. Like, I've done my, or I'll just go and do it in the pool. But there is, when you do release these, Adam asked me the question, how do these books affect you as a writer and as a human? And I was like, well, it makes me want to be a better writer. It makes me want to serve, because when you get present to the impact of these stories and you get present to, if people keep ignoring these situations, they continue. It's like you can break, if you drop a glass on the floor, but you just sweep it underneath the carpet, it will come back and it will cut you. And it will be there. It will always be there. You can put as many rugs over it as you like. The glass will be there until you pick it up and get rid of it. But dancing, water meditation, journaling, and, just being absolutely so grateful that I do get to share these kind of stories, and I have the capacity. Having gone through everything that I've gone personally, but that I was trusted with these stories. That's a huge honor, and for me not to write them would be a really big sign of disrespect to the people who trusted me, and I don't take that lightly, which is again why I'm very fussy with who I choose to work with.
So those that have already had their story published as Pandora or Layla, how have they responded? Describe that?
Oh, Pan's probably not going to know about the book until she decides to come back into the world of everybody else. She lives on a remote island, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. She just goes diving all the time. She pops up from year to year. The reaction, I'm not going to get one from Layla. Unfortunately, she's not with us. Alpha, I will get one from her. I know I will. So yeah, I know I'll get one from her. But Layla's not with us. That was a bittersweet moment finishing that one, and I cried my eyes out and I let that one go. But like I said, Pan will probably pop up.
Read the book?
she goes, "Oh, you finally written it then? That'll be something." Yeah, she's she just go like, I mean, we call it Pan Goes Walkabout. I mean, obviously I don't call her Pan. But in the book, I actually do refer to Go and Walkabout, because we have this Mick Dundee thing, because when she was diving once, she pulled out this knife and we both burst out laughing, and we were like, "That's not a knife, this is a knife." Yeah. So when Mick goes to New York, right? So we had that moment, so it became a thing. So obviously that's included in the book. So there are lots of really personal moments that are included in the book, and in all of them. But what's been really interesting is taking each of these stories. So for example, Pan's story is set in Alaska, because she used ice cold water to numb her pain. She didn't want to feel, and she wanted to silence the noise above. That's how come she ended up free diving, because she was in, like, she just, I'm really good at holding my breath underneath the water. Oh, it's really pretty down here. I mean, she does marine biology, she studies the ocean, and but yeah,
Wow.
she'll like it.
So you then going to the mermaids guides, like there's incredible diversity happening in the world of Dawn, right? So what is the mermaids guides? Because you are, AKA Miss Mermaid. So what's that series?
That's a Banksy mermaid. Let's just make that clear to everybody. I am no Disney mermaid. Think Banksy and you're pretty much closer to where I'm at when it comes to being a mermaid, or a sea witch mermaid. Well, the mermaids guides were, again, bringing in all the cultural diversity work that I've done over the years, the gender equality, the leadership, and looking at, and like having trained as a chef and a hotel manager. And one day I've said, one day I'll write a recipe book. And like, my food is quite famous around the world, especially certain dishes that I make. Everyone's like, "Oh, can you make that one?" Like, I have people saying, "Oh, Dawn, are you like, when you come back to England, can we order food from you?" I used to have people putting in orders for certain food.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But, "Oh, when are you making this next? Can we have some?" So, I will be making a recipe book, and I'll say, okay. And then again, as I did with Wallahi, Kelt is sat next to me on the floor while I'm cooking dinner. Kelt's my dog, by the way, everybody. And I'm stood there having a conversation with my dog, and I was thinking, the dolphins guide doesn't sound really great, does it? What about the mermaids guide? And he kind of went, as dogs do. And so I laughed at him, and he wiggled his bum. And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it?" And I just carried on making dinner. But it was, I really wanted to look at leadership the way I see leadership, because I mean, I've been studying leadership for about 20 years, which is one of the other reasons why I love doing authors. Not doing authors, like working with authors, is because you actually then position yourself as an authority. And it is about developing you into a leader. And a lot of the work that I've done over the last 20 years in the corporate world, as well as in the entrepreneurial world, is develop leaders and actually take them from being either a regional or a national leader, and actually building them into a global leader. And it's been really rewarding. So the Mermaid's Guide series is, there's the Mermaid's Guide to being a digital nomad was never really going to be a thing. That kind of just happened. As it does in Dawn's world. That's a really great idea. Let's just do that. Oh yeah, okay. When are we going to do that? I don't know, but we'll make it work.
In a pandemic,
I was born for lockdown, Annie. Absolutely. And it was actually quite interesting, because when I get around, I mean, I walked into this hotel, what, 4 or 5 days? I don't even know how long I've been here. Maybe a week, I think. And yesterday was the first day I've left the hotel.
Wow. You do need to get out, sister.
I have a big balcony that overlooks the beach. If I can't go to the beach, then what's the point? I mean, look, everything's shut.
Sitting with
like, I don't really want to be sat down in the restaurant, like, having waiters hovering. I mean, they're really lovely, but I'm very much a loner. I like my own space. But again, this is one of the reasons why the digital nomad book came about, because a lot of people, they call themselves a digital nomad, but they're not. They go on holiday for 2 weeks or a month, they take loads of photos, and then they go back home, but they post all these photos and pretend they're a digital nomad. No, you're not. You've just been on holiday. Let's be honest. You work from your laptop. You do have a laptop lifestyle, but you are not a digital nomad.
Yeah.
So this book is actually going into the history of what a nomad actually is, looking at the Bedouins or the Badawis, the Gypsies and the sailors, which were some of the original, and the Levants. And then we're actually looking at, okay, well, what are the realities of being a digital nomad? Looking at currency, looking at money, looking at visas, looking at language and culture, and the leadership and all of that goes on, and the way you lead yourself, but getting used to being by yourself. And then what happens if you need to have your eyes tested?
Exactly.
I can't read Portuguese. I mean, well, I can now. But imagine being in a country, let's just say China, for example, you need to go and have your eyes tested. Unless you can read Mandarin, there's no point you going and having your eyes tested, really, because, I mean, can you read Mandarin? Can you pronounce it? You're going to be saying, they're going to be giving you magoo glasses, and so it's looking at the realities of what it is to be a digital nomad, but then it kicks off, but it also lays the blueprint for the Mermaid's Guide to Leadership, the Mermaid's Guide to Culture, the Mermaid's Guide to Women Around the World, the Mermaid's Guide to Sailing, the Mermaid's Guide to the Environment, which is one of the reasons why I'm delivering this speech on the Rise Up Summit, the Rise Above Summit, which is all about the environment. A lot of people don't realize I've studied the environment for a very long time. And I am very political, and I do go down the rabbit hole with Alice and the caterpillar very often for a cup of tea. And and then I've got the Mermaid's Guide to Food as a vegan, gluten-free traveler, because one of the things that when you're sat quite a bit with traveling on a boat, you are sat quite a bit. It's not all gung-ho and climbing up the mast and everything, especially when you're on a yacht. You can do that on a tall ship, which I do, and I love doing it, but
it's a bit slippery and a few hazards.
Well, it is, and I've already lost my teeth once. I don't really want to be going overboard, and losing the rest of them. But and it is about looking at, okay, well, if I'm gluten-free and I'm vegan and I'm in Brazil, how the heck does that work? Like, we're in fish meat heaven here. And there's me going, can I just have a plate of vegetables, please? And they're like, what? Did you want some prosciutto with that? Yeah, exactly. Why? Are you ill?
Yeah, that's right.
The Arabs are the same. They're like, are you sick?
They're like, what? There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually very good quality.
I just don't eat. I don't eat toxic food.
However amazing it is, I still don't want it. Wow. Amazing. Well, there's going to be an unlimited series in the Mermaid's Guides. I mean, you can make a mermaid guide about anything that comes your fancy in the years ahead.
Yeah, you can. It's all part of the, but this is the thing, it's like each of the books in the Sacral series have got a podcast with them. And there's a summit series with the Mermaid's Guide. There is training courses with each of them. There are lots of other things, and it's, again, how do you create one product that feeds into another? And then all of this content I'm actually then submitting as part of my contributing material to my PhD in international law and social justice. But again, it's like the first trilogy, what am I doing with that? Well, a lot of people are now reading that. So and each of those books were written as individual books. But now we're realizing that they're selling really well. We're going, actually, we need to now re-edit them as a trilogy.
Yeah.
So Kelsey's in the process of re-editing all of those at the moment, so that we can then not only, we've got plans for those books, but then I'm launching a podcast to talk about all the things that are really important to me, to promote and talk about the issues I covered in the trilogy of life itself, because that's where I started. And there's some really serious topics in those books that we're seeing happening now. And people are like, Dawn, do you realize what you predicted in those books?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I do. And you know what? You all called me a conspiracy theorist, and look what's happening. But again, it's like, how do we look at what we're doing, build on what we're doing, and then actually use all of that to serve others? And again, that's what Lani's doing, you know, that's what you're doing. You know, there's another book that, you know, taking your life experience and everything that you're doing and everything that you are and everything that you be, and you know, this wonderful life that you've created. You know, you've done that with Becoming Annie, and there's so much more to come from Annie, because we only really touched the surface with that book.
That's right. That's right. We've just got to slow Annie down, so I've got some time to.
We got to slow us both down.
Type away. I know that's the big thing, isn't it? It's because you know, when you actually get so in your zone, so in that space, there's then unlimited opportunities. When people say, "Oh, I don't know what to do," or where, it's kind of like, it's because you haven't really leaned in and embraced it. Because once
what do you mean you don't know what to do? There's so much to do.
I know, like you and I would go, oh, that's right. It's no, there's just like opportunities everywhere for everyone, and I truly believe that. You know, it's like, no,
absolutely,
because you actually haven't found that zone. And then also that next level that you've just sort of referenced is that when you truly back yourself, when other people go, that's crazy, or you're a conspiracy theorist or whatever, and you go, no, because I'm actually so in touch with my authenticity and my views on something, I'm actually okay with that. And you can do it despite naysayers, which there are many, as we know.
Oh, there are, and there's a lot of haters. Oh, and they love it. Oh,
embrace the hate.
See, this. Well, I do. I kind of think, and it's like I was saying to Adam, because he had his podcast cancelled because of some of the stuff that he talks about. Oh. And it's like, when people, but the thing is, the things he's talking about are the things that need talking about.
Yeah.
Again, like the Sacral series. But when the powers that be cancel your podcast, like my blog was cancelled when I was talking about the Arab situation, like the Palestinian-Israeli situation. That got cancelled. I was followed by the secret police in Egypt when I was blogging about the Egyptian uprising. They only do this when we are close to the bone, when we have hit the nail right on the head and they don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's like when you speak your truth and you stand in your truth, people aren't going to like it. I can tell when I've hit a nerve with a Facebook post, because it's like tumbleweeds. You can hear the deafening silence. And it's like, oh yeah, that hit a nerve. Yeah, okay. They've ignored that one. Okay, there isn't, and you know, and I put a cute puppy on one of them, and one of them was a cute puppy, and I started reading, and then you kind of hit me 1, 2, 3, hit 5, 7, 8. I was like, yeah, but you were engaged. You got it. You know, that's the thing. It's if we don't speak our truth and we allow people to bully us and we allow people to try and silence us, then the bullies get away with it. And it's only when we go, actually, I am prepared to take this all the way.
Yeah.
I am prepared to fight you every step of the way. The people that have read Crossing the Line, they will know, if I had not have said, no, I'm not going to lie, I am going to tell the truth. And if that means I have to go to prison until the year 2026, which was very, very likely, but I'm like, I'm not going to tell a lie to give truth to their lies to fit an agenda that you have. And I stood in my truth, prayed to God so strongly that was like, please God, let me win. You know, like, what have I done? No, you've got to tell the truth. You've got, and this is the thing, and I know that you and I have had this conversation, that if I don't tell the truth, then every interview that I've ever done, every book I've ever written, every article I've ever written, if I don't, for example, like Abby, like just taking her on to do all my social media and everything, I was like, you are not to pretend you're me. Do not show up as me. Like you are Abby. Like people will see straight through you for a start. I know what I like in that, you know. And it's like one of my other mentors, Regan, I said to her, I said, is this Regan or is this Lauren? She goes, no, Dawn, it is Regan. I was like, oh, I said, because I did just call you Lauren. She goes, yeah, why did you call me Lauren? I said, because I wanted to make sure that it was you. Because, you know, I don't want to start going off in Dawn mode and it's some, you know,
Random.
somebody else. But yeah, no offense, Lauren, not that you're a random or anything, but again, for me, but it's a breach of trust.
Yeah.
You know, you think you're talking to one person, but again, you and you've been a CEO, like I've been a manager. We've both signed things like, can you go write this? I need this out? And then you've signed it as you're running out the door and you haven't read it properly. And then it comes back. And I said to you recently, I was interviewed, and then I was like, and I just stood there. I was like, deer in the headlights. I really don't remember saying that. And like, I really do remember a lot of what I said. I know I get surprised about what comes out of my mouth a lot of the time, and I really probably should think a bit more before I speak, but I don't want to. When you write the kind of books that I write, like about political situations, and you're writing about the law, and you are writing real life true books, anything that you write that you put your name to, if you get caught out in a lie, I mean, God forbid getting caught out. I mean, I can't even keep up with the truth in my head, let alone add lies to it. I mean, people think I'm nuts now, probably right. But if you anything that I get caught out in making a mistake, even someone said, but you said this, and this. I'm like, yeah, but when did I say that? 10 years ago. Okay, well, I've actually read stuff since then. I've actually learned stuff since then, and I've retracted that statement since then. You're curious as I am, Adam. Like, we're always like, okay, what's next? What can I learn now? How can I do this? How can I be a better person? How can I serve humanity more? What else is there to learn? You work in the medical industry. You're always having medical breakthroughs.
And you hope
there's always something.
Yeah. You should
hope so, wouldn't you?
It should be.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Who wants to go to a doctor who hasn't upskilled for 20, 30 years, right? I don't want them operating on me, right? You know, that's right. And it doesn't mean you're not right in that time, right? We don't want to judge on previous generations and times, right?
No.
There's a whole world of that. But you should assume that your views are developing and growing and changing.
Well, you would hope so, yeah.
Regularly. Yeah. So, Dawn, how important is the PhD to you? Here you are going to be Dr. Dawn, putting all this together academically. It's amazing because it's just actually dotting the I's and putting together all of this work and passion.
The blue bow.
Put a bow on it, the cap. How important is that for you to go the whole hog and go, I want to have that credibility or that sort of statement behind who I am?
Well, for me, I study so much, and it's always been a running joke with me and my friends for like 20 years. Oh, Dr. Dawn's at it again. A friend of mine, she's a PhD supervisor. She goes, "Is that another PhD I've just read there in 5 minutes, Dawn?" So it started out as a running joke. Again, as most of the stuff that'd be really great. Should we do that? Yeah, okay. But the more I started thinking about it, and then when I was offered a fully funded PhD by the head of criminology department for the Helena Kennedy Centre back in Sheffield, we've got a bit of a storm coming. I don't know if you can hear that banging. That is the windows. We're having an Australian moment.
Oh my gosh, yes, we've nearly washed away over here.
But again, like when I got offered that fully funded PhD, I was like, hang on a second, I've refused 3 master's degrees and I've just returned down a fully funded PhD. None of them were alignment with me, though. I didn't want tying to those universities for that length of period of time. But then it was like, well, hang on a second. I know my stuff. I know what I know. But for me to have the PhD and to have that academic seal of approval means that I can actually make more difference because there will be more people that take me seriously. Yes, I like to giggle. Yes, I am a little bit zany and out there, but aren't the best people. But again, it's if it means that I then, when I've got my PhD from Oxford, I can then go and stand on a stage and actually take down the politicians, like I do anyway, but I just don't get referred to as Dr. Dawn. It will mean more to the people whose lives I'm impacting. It will mean more to other people, because again, I know what I know. I know that I'm a powerful woman. I know that the knowledge I have is powerful, and I know that a lot of what I know can change the world. But when you keep coming up against the system, and the only way you can change the system is to be part of it. But I don't want to be part of it. But again, it's like, do I really want to have a six-pack? Well, get your backside out of bed and actually do your Latin dance fitness, Dawn. You know, get down on the floor with your Pilates bands and get those squats done. You know, if you want certain things and you want certain results and you want to have certain impact, you do what's needed to get you there.
Yeah.
If I want to get back to Australia, I've got to come back around the world in a certain direction and get across the oceans. And I'm going to have to get wet, which I really don't mind, to be honest with you. But I'm going to face some gnarly storms. And I'm going to have to buy a boat. And I really want to have my boat, because my boat's going to be my home. So, yes, my PhD is important to me because it will have other people take me seriously.
Yeah.
And hopefully not too seriously, because, you know, that's
don't get too serious. We won't recognize you.
No. But again, you know, like you said, it is wrapping up a lifetime's worth of work. And the people that need to be recognized, and the people that I serve, they need somebody within a certain realm. And it's kind of like, to all those people that said, you know, you're not going to make much of yourself, you're just going to be a waitress and a librarian. I'm like, yeah, you want to bet?
Just wait and see.
Be the worst librarian you've ever had, because I'll lock the doors and keep the books to myself.
Get out of my space.
Out of my space, leave the tea alone.
I love that. When you finally get to Australia one day, oh my goodness, it's going to be
just put the kettle on and pour me a tea.
Oh my God, I'm going to have to stock up when I know how much tea you drink.
I've only got 6 tea bags left.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to go shopping for you. Yeah. Oh goodness, doesn't Uber deliver to you? Amazon, someone drop off a care package?
Yeah, but you don't really want to be drinking the tea here. Not if you're an English tea drinker from Sheffield.
No, you need the real.
Well, I'm not from Sheffield. I lived in Sheffield. I just want to make that clear.
So you and I are now going to be speaking on the Rise Above Summit. You mentioned that before, with a gorgeous Patty Grover, who is hosting this incredible summit. And you and I are on lots of different women summits and things like that at the moment, which is super exciting. We can't wait till
someone said to me, like, you and Annie tag teaming again.
I know, and we just love it. And what I love is, that's right, because in the busyness and in the depth of the concentration of the work that you're doing, and that it's so wonderful to connect with a tribe of women globally who are just out there owning their space, and then also that opportunity to give back, you know, that you go, that's right, I'm speaking to those people who are on that journey that I've been through, and I want to help you learn some tips and tricks, and I want to encourage you when we haven't had encouragement. I want to empower you when you feel flat and it's really hard. Do you get that same sort of buzz that I do, and that's why you do it?
Yeah, I do. And you know, when you know that, and I know that how much, I mean, we both do keynotes. I mean, I haven't done that many for a while, but you know, I so cannot wait to put on a glamorous dress and some heels and walk on stage with the podiums with the microphone. I'm so looking forward to getting to the States and doing that again. But you know, the fact that we can take what we know and people can turn up and they've only, you know, they can get access to all of this material, and you just there and you're like, oh, what can I share with them? You know, what's new? What's what is it that's being put out there that everybody is saying, what can I add? How can I go deeper? And some of the stuff I share is, you know, yes, it's only 10, 20, 30, 50 minutes, you know, depending on how long the event is or the speech is. But a lot of what I share on these things and what I go really deep with a lot of my one-on-one clients, so that, you know, they're paying top whack, you know. And so when you can take that and you can deliver it to people, but you deliver it in a way that's reachable for them where they're at, and then you start to see them grow and you start to see those nuggets, or you get those messages saying, Dawn, I saw you, and I know you said this, and I went and bought your book, and I've done this, and now I stand there with my colored pens in my hand and my A1 flip charts, and I ask myself now, what would Dawn do? It's
what
like,
would Dawn do?
do you know how many people say that to me now? When I'm in, they go, when I'm there and I'm thinking I really should be working, what would Dawn do? Or they go to put Netflix on, or they go to watch the telly and they go, no, Dawn wouldn't do that. And I was like, are you for real? You really say that? But it is, and that's the buzz, because you don't know the impact you're going to have on someone's life.
Yeah.
And how you can transform their life. And when you're there and you're giving these nuggets and you're doing it freely, you know, and often we're paying to be on these programs. You say, no, I will put my hard-earned cash into this because I love what you're doing, Patty, or I love what you're doing, Angel and Tina, or I love what you're doing, Shay, or, you know, or like Cedric, or all the others that we appear on. And, you know, and I love what you're doing. I fully support you here. Have some cash. You know, let me speak, let me deliver this so that these people can get it for free.
Yeah.
People don't realize that we pay for a lot of these events, you know, but when you think about what goes on behind the scenes, it's like I say to a lot of my clients, you know, if you're doing a podcast, why are you not charging for the podcast? Because you've got graphics to do, you've got license fees to pay, you've got your time, you know. If I was going to a business networking event, I would be paying for a lunch. I'd be paying $20, $30 for a lunch for a business networking event to present myself to the room. What's the difference to me getting up on someone's podcast and paying, giving them, say, you know, like, yeah, here's $20, $30. That'll cover that'll go a little way to covering some of the expenses and your time. And it's a sign of respect. It's a mark of respect to somebody to pay them for their time. Say, you know, I value you. I value the gift that you're making to humanity. I value the time you spend paying someone to do the graphics or doing them yourself. I mean, you really don't want to see any graphics I prepare. Here, let me go give that to Carolee. Carolee, I need a graphic. You know, and for me, when you see that you've helped somebody else through paying to be on their summit or paying to be on their podcast, seeing them then grow to the next level,
that's the best.
And that is just, you know, you just think it's such an honor to serve these people and serve with them. It really is. It's just to be able to know that those days when it was like, okay, it's a bowl of rice again with a dash of Tabasco. Okay, I will get there. I will get there.
Yeah.
I will get there. And those moments of believing that you will get there, and you know what? Oh, today I could have a carrot and an onion with the rice. And then you might add some broccoli the next day. So, and to know that, you know, just in a short space of time or in a long period of time, you've been able to shift your life. You know, by paying £20 to attend a summit, by paying, you know, £100 for an event, or paying someone £1,000 for their time and their knowledge, and you know, you just grow, and all these stepping stones that you take, you know, and then you end up being the one that then gifts it forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That's special, because people gifted me a lot, and they gifted me a lot. So why wouldn't I gift my time and, you know,
that's right,
some of my money? Why wouldn't I give it?
Value it, right? Looking back, we know all those people who did those extra extra things. It's just sometimes people undervalue it. It's the little things. It's the moment that they cared, or they offered, or they provided an introduction, or they just did. So it's not as if you've got to do massive things. Those people go, I don't know if I can help. You can help with in a little way. And if you have that little way model, then you'll be surprised at the impact it has on other human beings, right? I mean, I get that all the time, and you'll get that. They'll just send me these beautiful letters going, oh my gosh, you said this and I did it, and now it's just changed this part of my life or something. Or, I channeled my inner Annie, they'll say, and I'm like thinking, what would Dawn do? And then they went, and then I bravely leaped out into this space, and I'm like, yeah. And then this happened, and you go, yeah, that's right. And we often, you just go about life going, oh, I don't know if it helped, whatever, but it does. It really does greatly impact people when we least expect it. So I love that. I love that nature that you have. And also I love what you're saying about you valuing, who you are, and this, and the work that you can produce, and what it took, the expense it took personally and financially to be where you are today, that it doesn't just happen, and people should value that as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how do people find you, Dawn? They're wanting to join your club, find your resources.
The best place for people to find me now, like to get access to my podcast, all my books, the services, learn a little bit more about me, will be to go to dawnbates.com. They can get access to the House of Preeminence, MSP Global, and One Tribe there. They, like I said, they can get my books. They can find all the links to their preferred social media platform. They can find out how to work with me. Oops. They can find out how to work with me. Oops, that was a bit close. So dawnbates.com is the best way to find me.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for giving up your time today. Thank you for getting yourself out of the spa. And we always have a lot of fun. We always have a lot of giggles. And all the best. Keep powering, sister. You're just doing an amazing job. And
likewise.
And you're just living your truth, and it's just so wonderful to always share. And I love the way there's always so many new things happening, right? Because it is limitless, and that's the message that we give out. It's limitless. Just keep backing yourself and keep leaning in.
And the more you give, the more energy you get.
100%. Absolutely, 100%.
And you've got to go and spend all that energy now celebrating. So I'm going to let you go as well.
Boy's birthday. Oh my gosh, my baby.
Happy birthday, boys.
Baby boys have just turned 30. Like, how did that happen? Anyway, so yes, we're having a family lunch, and we're going to go out and celebrate this
fabulous
occasion. So it'll be lovely.
Yeah.
We'll be happy. We're going down by the water, a little cafe, it's called Plonk Cafe. I love it. A bit of plonk.
Love it.
A bit of champagne and dipping.
That's perfect, Danny. So when I get there, then eventually when I get there,
I'll take you to Plonk. Yeah, exactly. It's right down.
Lizzie's going to be 18 by the time I get there.
Exactly. Never say that's right. It is a long boat ride, but don't worry. We
5 knots an hour.
All right, gorgeous. Thank you.
I love you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes, and of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.